The Celtics beat the Philadelphia 76ers, as always, in a game that was
As
never
we are
in doubt.
accustomed to.
Never in
Yes,
doubt.
indeed.
All
Didn't
that,
question it for a second.
mate. All right. The fellas, we're here. Jake's in his car recording live. We've got Jackson. Mate, how are you?
Very well. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I was like, when should I go back on? So I saw Philly was playing today. I was like, well, there's an easy win. I'll come on and I can talk a lot of smack about that. And here I am, right on time after a win against the Sixers. So I'm wonderful, mate. Hope you are too.
Joe, here as well. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, not bad. Just similar to Jackson, eh? Good way to knock the cobwebs out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, we are driving and podcasting. Jake's actually going full noise on the motorway right now.
Yeah. I'm just going I'm just trusting Elon. We're going self-driving and we're going to podcast same time.
We've got a car, we've got a bad angle in New Zealand, and I've just got like existential white behind us. We've got a great mix of backgrounds today.
This is beautiful. All right, fellas, I don't know where we want to start. Look, death, taxes, and the Boston Celtics beating the Philadelphia 76ers. And it was not pretty. There was some questionable coaching decisions, a late game execution, maybe Jason Tatum's worst game of the season. Jackson, where do you want to start here, mate?
Still picking myself up the floor after the last sequence, because you're gonna think I'm absolutely full of it here. I had a dream something like that happened against us. Someone heaved a ball. It was the Phoenix Suns that did it to us in the finals. And this is about a week ago, and I was like, oh, that'll never happen. And then you can imagine my existential horror when I see it happen before my eyes again today. Thankfully, it didn't count. And it kind of, you have to sort of take a step back to say, wait a minute, that was a game-winning Jason Tatum three-pointer in the clutch on the road against Philadelphia in a game when, in terms of seedings, is pretty important. That's a huge win. I had nowhere else to start other than that's a huge, awesome, memorable, one of the season's best wins.
Yeah, memorable, super memorable.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, Joe. No, mate, you're next. We're never going to forget this one, right? I mean, the Tatum to win it, the confidence to bounce back, because he was hesitant. There was 1 3 in particular that he did not shoot, which was very out of character. But to come back and knock down the pull-up 3 game winner, I mean, that's big cojones right there.
Very, very large cojones. I think, he just needed to get himself unstuck. He hit that 3 with about, what was it, a minute and a half left. Just needed to see it go in, and then he was back to his usual confident self. I think where for me I have to start is a comment from one Mike Wayne Spooney, who I'm hoping to get a live cross from, but maybe we won't. So Wayne was in the building tonight. And this is a direct report. A grown man was screaming, "We'll never beat them," over and over on my way out of the stadium. And it's just the darndest thing. Like, there's teams that have our number and we just have these guys' number. They will never beat us.
We've got a Rolodex of teams' numbers at the moment. Philly's in there, Brooklyn's in there. I think Memphis have beat us once in their last 15 or something like that. So
they've never beaten Jason Tatum. Yeah, no, Denver's like 1-7 in the last 7 or 8. Math tough.
Just don't talk to me about Orlando or the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's, some teams can really give us problems.
Yeah.
The Raptors always terrified me.
The Heat especially. We played down. To watch what the Heat did yesterday in an embarrassing performance against a Giannis-less Bucks team, and then what they do against us, it just really doesn't make any sense.
So annoying.
What's great news is that Philly's a contender for at least this season, and to have a team in the top 3 of the East that you feel really, really confident about going against in the playoffs. Like, if you're a Philly fan, if you can't win tonight's game, like, when are you going to be able to beat the Celtics? Embiid and Harden coming off an All-Star break, rested. One of the big reasons I always back the Celtics in the playoffs, especially second round and on, is the athleticism, the youth, the conditioning. Even Al Horford, at his late stage, like one of the best conditioned guys in the league for his whole career. You get one of Jason Tatum's worst games as in his MVP season, and you still can't win. Like, in what scenario? Embiid has a what do you have it end up with 40 tonight? Like he couldn't. He was incredible. And if you can't win a game like tonight, I'm not sure how you can. You just got to be seeing the Boston Celtics in your nightmares.
Yeah, I mean they'll beat us eventually. I'm sure of it, but I just think we've just got too much evidence and too much. There's just too much tape on us being better than them over a period of time. Like they'll get a game here and there, but if we were to meet them in the playoffs, then obviously you don't get too ahead of yourselves. But I mean, you'd think on history that's a 5-6 game series max because we just seem to have the knack over them. But yeah, I mean. You said it perfectly, Jake. Like when, if not tonight, then when is it going to be? Like last time they played us, Jaylen left with the facial fracture halfway
no
through.
Marcus, no Al, no Rob.
Precisely, yeah. Whereas tonight, you probably get the best you can get out of Joel Embiid. Probably the best you can get out of Tobias Harris, given, what he's been about lately. And Tatum straight up sucked a bar like 2 or 3 moments. And it was resulting in a loss. So yeah, I'd be sad if I was a Philly fan, man. Really sad.
Yeah, you would have to be sad. I think it is actually hard to see the path. It is it. You're right. It's actually hard to see the path because it just seems to be a depth thing, like when Embiid went out, man, that's when we made our runs, and he has to go out because he can't play 48, and we've got a couple dudes that can play 48. It's durability and fitness are a big advantage for our two guys. Because I honestly I think Embiid's a better player than Tatum, but
sure.
But Tatum can impact the game for 40. You know what I mean? Like the cumulative impact of Tatum over a game often outweighs what Embiid's able to do, just because it's shorter minutes or whatever, and yeah. It's I don't know. I just don't really see them. I can't see them beating us. I just don't. I also think Harden is not like as far as guard matchups go. Like he's a good guard matchup for us.
We are built to deal with Harden, especially at this point in his career. Like now he has trouble getting past lesser defenders than he did 5 years ago. And you've got Marcus, Jaylen, Jason. I think, half the Celtics roster had a play on Harden tonight where he was trying to go to the rim and Harden's left arms in the air. He has his typical, he has his look that he does, hands up against the chin. He
gets his little case of Harden Tourette's on the way to the rim.
He's trying to grab anything that's not a clean look at the rim. What did he end up tonight? 5 for 16, 2 for 7 from 3, 9 for 9 from the line. Like the free throw disparity in the game today was just absurd. And I think when you play that out in a playoff series, there's going to probably be 1 or 2 games where that's just going to happen. That's what happens when you play against the Sixers. But, over a series, there's going to be games where they don't get the calls, where the Celtics are, defending them at an even higher level. Maybe let's jump into some, individual performances. I think we've kind of touched on Tatum, one of his worst games, but money on the table.
Got a career highlight out of it. Yeah.
Money on the table against one of your biggest rivals to clinch the season series, to push them further down the standings, and really get pretty close to locking up a top 2 seed here. Because now for Philly to jump us, they're at kind of like an extra game behind us because of the tiebreaker. Jaylen Brown, I thought, was pretty consistently excellent throughout the game. We had a couple of Jaylen classic turnovers, but other than that, I think Jaylen loves playing Philly. They don't have a soul on that team that can guard them. Jalen McDaniels, the big pickup on the trade deadline, he sees food when he sees Jalen McDaniels. That's their best wing defender. He had the going right at Embiid, gave him the too small. It was mask Jalen kind of, and great to see him do it in the mask as well. Joe, what do you think of JB tonight?
It was the complete JB experience. All the things that frustrate me about him were there. But the thing about Jaylen is when he's playing aggressively, he's a positive contributor. And we sure needed his aggression tonight. Like there was that pass to, if I was going to tick off some of the frustrating ones, there was that pass to Brogdon on the wing. And I was just like, classic Jaylen. But man, Bill Simmons used to talk about Russell Westbrook back when he liked him. He used to talk about him like the table test. Like, does he bring more to the table than he takes off the table? And like, Jaylen's nowhere near in the region, in the realms of like Russell Westbrook and some stuff he takes off.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
you're getting a little dangerous there.
No, but you know what I mean. But that they have similar. There's a similar profile in that they're both at their best when they play very aggressively.
Mhm.
So if Jaylen's putting pressure on the Sixers, like I'll live with the mistakes. I just don't like passive mistakes from Jaylen. But he did a couple of things. I don't think I've really seen him before. That lead pass to Rob was a beauty.
Fantastic.
Oh, stop it. Yeah. JB in transition tonight was a blur. Jackson, thoughts? Jaylen?
I just think, he looks completely unbothered by the mask. I think that I was listening to the commentary and they said something like, he's likened playing in the mask to playing basketball through binoculars. And it's like, well, it doesn't really like bother him that much, really. Because like you said, Joe, it's the ultimate JB experience. We got the best and we got the worst. So, if he was uncharacteristically good or uncharacteristically bad, you could attribute that to the mask. Either it's got magic powers or he can't see out of it, one or the other. But he just looked completely unbothered by it, and it was a fantastic display. My particular favorite play was the pull up from the free throw line, and he sent PJ Tucker just to smack his 4 suburbs over.
Michael Jordan,
tremendous. Yeah.
Come on, like they even talk about it on the broadcast. Like that was just filthy. Like it was the mirror image of MJ and the shot. You can't ask for much more than that, right, Jay?
Yeah.
My wife's just walked in.
I saw that.
Ordinarily, I wouldn't do this, but I feel the need to explain what happened in this game.
I showed my girlfriend the replay too, so she could bask in it. So
it was nuts,
right? Likewise.
So we were down early, then we came back and took a lead by 7, and then they came back and they went up by 15, and then we came back up and we went up by 10. And then they came back and went up by 1. And then we came back and we went up by like 4. And then they tied it up. And then at the end of the game, our guy had a 3-pointer with 1.3 seconds left. And then that guy had like a full court shot, but it was after the buzzer. So we won. How good. There we go.
You talk to your wife the same way I talk to my girlfriend. The same, and then it was this one. It just must be universal.
I'm so happy for you. Yes, I'm glad the orange ball, the green team with the orange ball did good today, honey. So lovely. All right, Jaylen Brown, very good at basketball. Loves ripping the heart out of Philadelphians, but I think maybe the unsung hero in the midst of tonight, Mr. Playoff Al, made an appearance tonight, and I feel like he does this when he senses that Jason's off, that JB is off. He's like, all right, reminded me very much of game 4 against Milwaukee, where it was looking a little dicey.
The nod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. elbowed Giannis in the face. And today, what do you have? 4 threes in the third quarter. He had back-to-back threes, 9-0 run. Al Horford on Philly. Not quite the Embiid stopper that he was in years previous, but I think without Al Horford sparking them in the third quarter, I don't think they'd get the win here, right, Jackson?
Yeah, absolutely. You say he wasn't that effective guarding Embiid, and I would sign off on that totally, because he got to the line pretty much whenever he wanted. He scored in line, scored pretty much whenever he wanted. But I noticed that Embiid was really not going to the line or getting really anything inside from like the fourth quarter on. And like, obviously you can attribute that to fatigue, but that's the kind of physical defense that Al was throwing at him when Grant Williams came in. He was throwing that at him as well, Marcus as well. So, it's kind of like, it's obviously by committee, it's to just grind these big, dominating centers down, like Embiid, like Giannis. So I think you have to attribute most of that effort to Horford though, because he takes that role and he seems to relish in it. And I don't know if he's in Embiid's head or not, but that's a lopsided encounter when Embiid goes up against Al Horford. And yeah, those threes that he hit in the third quarter, just chimed in. He always seems to chime in when we're just not shooting that well, and get us back on track. So a great game from Al Horford tonight against his former team that obviously hates it when they beat him all the time, because he loves it so much.
As Jordan said in the chat here, Al hates Philly.
Yes,
and
he does,
loves.
Jordan. So do we.
Loves playing Philly, and so do we. We hate Philly and we love playing Philly, because you can't you don't get these feelings just walking around in life. When you play the Philadelphia 76ers, it's just a little bit special.
And a little bit of a broader point, like the All-Star game sucked. The NBA isn't it? Like, let's be honest, guys. Like, we're kind of a little bit insulated from it because we're Celtics fans. The NBA is in a bit of malaise right now. But then a game like tonight, it just reminds you just how great a game basketball is. And things might get rough for the NBA. Who knows? But you've got that at its heart. That the beating heart of the NBA is like what we had tonight. It's just an amazing experience. That, like you say, Jake Eisenberg, aka Walter White, aka Derrick White.
Yeah,
the aka mistress, the White Derrick White,
mistress man.
The mistress was out tonight. Why do you think I'm in the car? I've snuck out. I've snuck out.
Is that your burner phone that you call us on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just waiting. Once he gets out of the cold tub, we're getting straight to it. As good as, and it's a little bit of a tease. We may have a special guest coming on at some point in the podcast, and we'll see if I need to tone up or down the mistress love. But speaking of Derrick White, as good as Al Horford was, as good as Jaylen Brown was, both of them, as far as plus minus goes, were minuses in this game. Al Horford -12, Jaylen Brown -6. Now Derrick White, the Buffalo, the mistress, has just been unreal. He was a game high plus 25, 7 for 9 from the field, 18 points.
3-point win.
Like,
mental.
He was incredible, and he's been like just on a stupid tear. But one, how good is Derrick White? And two, what is Joe Mazzulla doing, not closing the game with Derrick White and closing it with Grant Williams? Maybe you're thinking that we want people that can handle Embiid. That wasn't happening. Give me someone who was doubling Embiid better than anyone else tonight. He was getting hands in passing lanes, causing havoc, moving the ball, doing all of the Derrick White stuff. It was Joe Mazzulla deserves to spend maybe a night in prison for closing the game with Grant Williams instead of Derrick White. It was atrocious decision.
Grand Theft Buffalo, I believe the charges.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe.
Buffalo soldiers need to mount up. I don't know, man. He might be better than Smart. Offensively, it works way better with him. I love Smart. But if Smart really doesn't have it, then you gotta go with Derrick White, man. Like, I don't know. There's probably a sense in which he's perceived as slight, right? So he's going to get picked on. I remember he got picked on the most in the playoffs, but man, he puts pressure on the opposition, constant pressure with few mistakes. And I'm going to keep beating this drum, but guys who put pressure on the opposition and make few mistakes, that's what makes successful teams. Like that intangible, the non-box score stuff, that's what that is. That's what creates opportunity for other players. I love Derrick White, and I thought he should have been out there tonight over Smart.
Yeah. That double big lineup that we all fell in love with and was just like the symbol of just utter dominance the back end of last season and whatnot. I saw that lineup tonight, and a part of me was like, I wish Derrick White was starting. I really do. Like, and we've had the luxury of maybe not luxury is the wrong word, but with the injuries, he's able to start and he's able to, get cooking from the beginning. But I think when it was Marcus Smart picked up his fourth foul when he was standing right over Embiid, and Embiid kind of like,
that was terrible.
Like necked him off, and that was his force. He had to go out. I'm pretty sure we were down 8 at that stage, and I know it was 15, but then Derrick White comes in, and that's the it was 23-3 run minus 6 point whatever. Anyway, he was the key to that run and getting that momentum back. And when he was taken out at the end and Smart came back in, I thought to myself, this could go wrong, and it started to go pretty wrong. And he was in there at the end inbounding that ball to Marcus, who laid it off to Jason. So Derrick White minutes, as far as I'm concerned, are winning minutes. And he is, I'm not quite prepared to sign off on he's better than Smart, Joe, but this month, the evidence and the resume that he's building for himself so far this year, he's becoming very close to being a more almost important contributor to this team than Smart was, at least this year.
I think lately, obviously Smart was out, missed a chunk of time, and Steve Jones from the Dunker's Spot Pod. I love this point that he makes. It's like sometimes you're an injury away kind of figuring out a couple of things. And the Smart injury completely unlocked Derrick White. Honestly, from a confidence standpoint, I know Van Gundy spoke about it on the broadcast. Derrick White sometimes feels like he's the one who doesn't believe that he's amazing. And he's playing like he believes that he's amazing at the moment. The confidence that he plays with, because as you said, Joe, like that's you hit the nail on the head. He doesn't make mistakes. He's always first to the floor, first to the ball. Like that play where Tatum, like Harden, forced something. We got a deflection, and Tatum should have gone the other way for a fast break when we were up 4 with like a minute or two left. If that's Derrick White, he gets that ball and it's a layup. Like he is just so quick to react. He's so locked in. He's just like similar to Smart. That's why I love both of them, is that they're half a second ahead on so many plays. And that's what I love about D White, is that he's playing 4D chess. He's at the spot a little quicker than you. He's getting that floater up just before you think he's actually has space to shoot it. I think you should be closing with Derek and Marcus. I think, can you do that? I think you can do that.
maybe.
There's no issues.
I mean, the contrast, if we're going to, I feel like you're trying to drive, Jake, because you're like, hey, can they play together? But I do kind of want to compare them a little bit too. Like, because Smart's he's like a mad genius, you know? Smart is a basketball genius, but he's a mad genius.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas Derrick White's just like kind of a basketball. Yeah. He's like, he's just like a basketball computer, you know, with iffy jump shot. But he's
Derek GPT.
Derek GPT.
We got another one.
He's AI. He just spits it back.
Yeah. I think they can play together. But I think they complement each other well, though. Derek, especially with the shooting coming along. I still kind of don't mind Marcus shooting threes when it comes to catch and shoot. Half of shooting in the playoffs, especially, is having the confidence to take them and make them. We can name several big playoff games where Marcus has hit threes and been the reason a game has swung. Game 2 against the Raptors comes to mind in the bubble. There's plenty, and so Derrick White having that confidence now as well. I think when you think about shooting in that lineup, that could be a concern. But the way that Derek's shooting at the moment, I don't think it's a concern. It's just whether or not you're closing with Al or Rob, which is maybe a good transition. I think Al we've spoken about. I thought this was maybe one of the best Rob games we've seen in a while. I think Rob hasn't quite looked like himself lately, but tonight it felt like he was doing all the Rob things. There was that one play where I think Breen was like, "Oh, Malcolm Brogdon got the steal," but it's like, no, that was Robert Williams, 7'6" wingspan, just sticking an arm out, getting a deflection and going back the other way. He had the transition, fast break, Jaylen to Rob, dunk. It felt like some of the Rob stuff where, you ask yourself the question, how many centers in the NBA could have pulled off that specific play tonight? And it was good to see Rob kind of stringing that stuff together. A classic, he didn't miss a shot tonight, right? It was
and he almost took a 3 as well.
Yes.
Went in, so
yeah,
he's got
14,
range.
8, 1, 1, no blocks. The defense I thought was fine. He had a great position on Embiid early, but I thought it was really encouraging for Rob, because it feels like him and Grant have been the two guys we kind of haven't been at kind of expectations or above.
Yeah, I still will give him the benefit of the doubt coming off the injury, and there's going to be a bit of tentativeness there to not go too hard and blow the knee out. But tonight was a tough physical game, and he's played in tough physical games since he's come back. And other than the load management, the games he has off here and there, he doesn't appear to be struggling or too far off the pace as of late. And is that the best game that we've had from him this season? Yeah, I mean, 100% from the field. Effective rebounds. There was a couple of offensive boards that I think he took down that were huge in the second half there. So yeah, man, we all love Robert Williams, and to see him, play the way that he is and affect the games the way that he does is wonderful.
Joe, give us some Rob analysis.
I think he's always on the chain end, he's the tail end of a chain of good decisions. So he's sort of similar to Hauser, really. And Grant,
okay,
he seems to play well when the team's playing well. And I wonder it benefited him playing those second unit minutes because maybe he fits better. Maybe he fits better with White. I mean, I'm a little down on Brogdon right now. Like, don't get me wrong, he brings plenty to the table. We need the shooting, but I've got some bones to pick with his decision making. But hey, he shoots the ball and it goes in a lot, so that's really helpful. But yeah, maybe
I agree.
Yeah, I just sort of feel like he's just one of those guys that it's hard to assess how they're like playing sometimes because their games and their roles are contingent on other people playing their roles well further up the food chain. So I'm probably less inclined to go too hard on him. But I think you're probably right. Like, I don't think he's the same as the pre-injury guy because who he was pre-injury, right? Like, that's when we were smoking teams by 20 points in the first quarter. He had a huge amount to do that. But I trust him a lot when he's out there. I like how he just plays. He doesn't overthink. He's like the anti-Jaylen. He's just total opposites to Jaylen. He's just all instinct,
Yes.
And yeah. So he'll always have that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he doesn't have to think. He's not quite maybe the AI computer that Derrick White is, but he's just like a natural. Like, I don't know.
He's
He's
just
like
out
a
there
dolphin.
jamming.
Yeah,
He's just jamming, man.
Yeah. I think I've on the trade deadline podcast I equated him to a mermaid just because of the siren song of Rob. I just can't resist him. And but I think he just has a natural feel for it. Like, he's an ocean animal, a dolphin, a whale. He's just in his element. Can play within chaos. Can play like a set pick and roll stuff. Really encouraging to see him get back on track. Kind of looking at you mentioned Hauser. I want to ask maybe a broader question about the depth of the team, and how that kind of bodes for both the regular season and the playoffs. Because I pulled together a video on the bench from the Pacers game because that was the reason they won the game was because of D. White, Brogdon, and Hauser. Over the last 10 games, Derrick White is averaging 25 and 6 on 49, 43, and 89. Brogdon 18, 3 and 4 on 55, 53, 92. And Hauser's 10, 4 and 1 on 54, 42% from 3 and hasn't attempted a free throw in 10 games. That is absurd production from 3 guys coming off your bench, right? Insane efficiency, solid defense. It was clear it was not a Hauser game. That was the one guy that Harden was able to actually cook off the dribble, and they were like, that's crazy. There was one dude on the team that Harden was able to actually beat consistently off the bounce, and it was Hauser. Other than that, there was no one he could beat consistently, which speaks to kind of where Harden is right now. But I think Hauser's proven most nights he can kind of hang defensively. What are your kind of thoughts on the bench mob, Joe, and what it means kind of for the stretch run? And do you see this being kind of like an added weapon, something we didn't have last playoffs?
Yeah, we feel real deep, eh?
Yeah.
I kind of wonder. Whether the way the season will play out. What is in your pump bottle, bro?
That's Fireball. That's Fireball. That's Fireball.
Fireball in the car, you beauty.
Well, it was just sitting there, and the fourth quarter was getting very stressful. And so, if anyone wants to know why I'm in the car,
you need to bring up that is a classic Aussie clip of the guy who's crashed his car. Is that American Honey?
That's American Honey as well. Look, I'm not homeless. Just so everyone's watching on YouTube, I've moved from state to state, and I currently don't have a house. I'm staying at sister-in-law's house. I'm fine, but they have terrible internet, so the car is the best place for all Celtics viewing and Celtics content producing activities. Go on, Joe.
Well, I will get to the actual point in a second, but there's this classic Aussie video that we should probably link to in the comments. The guy, and he's got an absolute skin fillet. He's steamed as, and he's pulled over on the side of the road, and he's wrecked his car. And the police officer comes over and knocks on the window, and he's like, "Are you right, mate?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting for a mate. I'm just waiting for a mate." like I've been here all night, just waiting for a mate.
Yeah, anytime. If anyone wants to hop in, Come on down.
Put that
The
in the show
bench.
notes. The bench. Yeah, I sort of feel like if we win, it might be quite a boring road to the title. Like I feel like if we win, it'll because we really dominate, and we're going to dominate in those parts where we can stretch it out against other teams' bench. It's really important to have you don't need to go 10 deep, but you need to have some weapons at 6, 7, and 8. And yeah, it looks like we've got a couple of guys that can really extend leads. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what things look like with playoff rotations. It might be closer, maybe, but I'm optimistic that we're actually significantly better than most teams' benches.
Yeah, I think this is the deepest team that I've since I've been supporting the Celtics. I think this is the deepest team we've had. We haven't seen any of Mike Muscala for the last 2 games. I don't think he's injured. I just think we just don't need that 40% free 3-point shooting tonight. We'll be okay with the guys that we have. I've got confidence in everybody. I'm a staunch defender of Grant Williams. He hasn't been playing, brilliantly lately. But then, you look at, the likes of Derrick White coming off the bench, Brogdon, for the flaws that he does have, he's been, he's the best 3-point shooter in the NBA. So to bring that off your bench is handy, to say the least. So no, I just think, it doesn't matter if we're almost injury proof at this stage, and obviously if that's Tatum, that's probably a different story. But I've just got the utmost confidence in the bench, and I think it's going to carry us a long way.
Yeah, I think it's just something we didn't have last season and in the playoffs, right? We basically were 8 deep from January on, all the way through the playoffs, and big Tatum minutes, big Jaylen minutes, and not just the minutes, the load they were carrying when they were on the court was heavy as well. Versus now, Brogdon can take the load. Derrick White can take the load. Brogdon just can take a lead from 4 to 12 in the blink of an eye. You kind of understand why Pritchard really wanted to get traded, because there's no minutes for him on this team if we're healthy, right? Even in the regular season, Muscala's not playing. I'm surprised we haven't seen him in the last couple of days. I saw something maybe about an ankle thing that's kind of he could easily play, but isn't the best. Would have been interesting to maybe see him tonight, give them some more shooting, because I felt like they didn't get up 37 3-point attempts. That's pretty low for the Celtics tonight. And Embiid obviously would have. Yeah, go on.
To jump in, think about, didn't Blake Griffin have 5 3-pointers last time we played the Sixers as well?
Yeah.
And he was doing a good job and was effective. Didn't see him at all tonight because we're fully healthy. And we're no, this is our unit. Send it out. So, it's
Cornet as well has been,
yeah, not in quite an embarrassment of riches, but we're quite wealthy off the bench, without a doubt.
No, I do think it's an embarrassment.
Comfortably off the bench.
I don't know. I feel like we've got a couple of investment properties
upper middle class bench.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're pretty close to the elite 1%, eat the rich territory when it comes to roster development. I mean, if you're Philly, for example, you feel deep, but it's I don't know. George's Niang, he can't play in the playoffs against the Celtics. That's food. Jalen McDaniels, I'm sorry. He's a 32% 3-point shooter. I know he hit 6 threes against the Celtics earlier in the season, so people were a little worried at the deadline. There's a reason he got traded for a 2nd-round pick, and there was no other team that swooped in to grab him from the 76ers. Not a playoff guy, never been in the playoffs. Good luck coming to Boston and making him your 7th guy. That's just not a realistic. Outside of the Bucks, I think they are maybe the 2nd deepest team in the league. The Pelicans, when Zion's healthy, Clippers maybe feel that way, but it's they've got a lot of good guys, but every guy is slightly worse than our depth. But the Bucks are pretty deep as well. Jay Crowder was good yesterday. Ingles has been good, but when you look at the Celtics depth, I mean, the fact that you can't even get Pritchard or Muscala into the game and Hauser plays 2 minutes, it's, and I do like what Joe Mazzulla did here. So Pacers game, he got 4 minutes, and it was kind of confounding. Tonight he plays 28 minutes, probably 5 minutes too long, I thought. But I thought Grant over Hauser versus the Pacers game, both of those decisions were correct. It was just the Grant over Derrick White decision that I had a pretty serious problem with. Any other takeaways from this specific game? Like, does this kind of change how you feel about the Celtics going forward, or Philly, or anything like that, Joe?
No, man. I think I've actually got to bounce now, guys. But I think I feel pretty
Closing
similar.
thoughts. Closing
thoughts. Hey, look. At the end of the day, it's all about how do we play against Milwaukee. That'll be a scary, scary series, and it'll go 7, and it'll be amazing.
For me today was a victory over Milwaukee because they've won 13 straight. There's no way they shouldn't have taken the top seed by now, and we're just keeping them away. And this is a game that could have easily coughed up, and everyone would be like, "Whatever, it happens." Philly pretty good, but not beat them again. Keep a distance.
That's how hard it is to overtake top seeds, though.
Yeah.
Like you don't get much overtaking at the top of the table. It's very difficult to do. Everyone.
Yeah, we'll see. Joe, you did call it when the Celtics were up about 5 on the Bucks.
I said it was over, and
you said it was over.
I don't feel as good about it, but hey, they'll drop 2 out of 3, or or 3 out of 5 at some point. Like they will.
Giannis, I think, has banged his knee, so he might miss a few games.
Yeah, that was interesting yesterday. If anyone was watching the Bucks game yesterday, we had a whole, because of the All-Star break, we had like 10 days of Giannis wrist drama, and then he doesn't miss a single game. But then he leaves in the first quarter with a knee injury. I haven't seen any updates as far as his status for tomorrow's game. They play the Suns tomorrow. I don't believe Durant is going to be playing for that one. I think they've circled Charlotte, the next Phoenix game, as the Kevin Durant opener. The real Durrell says the Bucks losing tomorrow against Phoenix. I hope you're right. There's no Phoenix could easily get a win against the Bucks tomorrow, especially if Giannis is out. If Booker's playing, I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns are able to take out the Bucks for us. Do you think the 1 seed's important, Joe and Jackson? I feel like I haven't gotten your specific thoughts on that. Like, I'm someone who's not super concerned with like actually getting the 1 seed because we're the kind of the best road team in the NBA for the last season and a half. Jackson?
For me, I think it would be a great thing to get, attaining the 1 seed and never letting it slip. And not just the 1 seed for the East, but the 1 seed if it gets to the finals, having that over a Denver or a Phoenix or a Memphis or what have you. So for me, it is important. But look, if you said end the season right now with the 2 seed, your first round matchup is going to be, I don't know, the Knicks or whatever, I'd be like, okay, fine, so be it. So it doesn't really bother me that much, but I really, really would like it.
Joe?
I actually think it is important. It's very high level. Yeah, hey, if you beat a team in 5, of course, it didn't really matter whether you had home court advantage or not. But man, I'm glad we had Game 7 at home against Milwaukee last year.
Yeah.
I don't think Grant Williams shoots like that in Milwaukee. So, yeah, I'm pro it, man. I'm pro going for the 1 seed.
One last rapid fire before you leave. Would you rather play Philly or Cleveland in the second round?
Oh,
Philly. Yeah.
Cleveland gives us real problems, man.
People are way too like, it's just Cleveland. Don't worry about that. No, I reckon they're very, very much a dark horse to make the finals for sure.
I think something that I think we would probably win, but I would definitely rather play Philly.
It would be like the Milwaukee series of 7 games. It would just be a war. It would be a knife
They're
fight.
They're great at defending the rim, which gives Tatum issues. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, they're really good.
Great scorers.
Really, really good. Whereas
Levert will have 45 in at least one game.
Exactly, right? Yeah. They feel like they have the potential to actually do it, and they don't have. The only thing that that makes me not so worried is literally Donovan Mitchell is kind of the only guy that's been in the playoffs at all. I think Levert's played like 6 games. Outside of that, Kevin Love was the only guy, and now he's gone. Not that he was making an impact anyway, but they've got no playoff experience. That would be the thing that kind of made me feel confident. But yeah, give me Philly in round 2. So if you're watching the standings, I'm not just watching for the 1-2 seed. It's hard to kind of standings watch because the 3-4 seed and the 1-2 seed are so close right now. But and then looking at first round, don't give me Miami.
Then you got the play-in to contend with, so it could be anyone from like 7 to 11. So 7 to 10.
So it's tricky. Joe, are you going to bounce off here?
Yeah, boys, I gotta go. But What an afternoon. What an afternoon.
The
That was a lot of
fellas.
fun.
Indeed.
The fellas. Well, thank you
boys.
for stopping by, my friend. Talk
Hey,
soon.
it was great. Cool. See you guys.
Thanks, Joe. Jackson. All right, so Joe will figure it out. He'll be out soon. Oh, do I have to do
Okay.
it? There we go. Look at us, technological wizards from the car. But yeah, I mean, look, tonight was kind of what it's all about, right? As a Celtics fan, as an NBA fan, you're kind of number one, number two rival in the conference, apparent contender in Philly. To go out there and win a game that you probably shouldn't have won. Just if you've got any Philly friends, Jaden,
Rub it in.
yeah, just shout out to you from my my social basketball team, big Philly guy. You hate to see it, it's tough. It's tough.
But we're used to it, and they should be too,
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think that's probably going to do it for today's episode. We'll be back in a few days on both this feed and the Celtics blog feed. If you weren't listening to the most recent episode, we're going to be kind of migrating back to the original First to the Floor feed. So please subscribe to that feed if you want to keep listening to us. Obviously, it would help us out, and you get to hear all of our lovely voices for the foreseeable future. We'll be continuing to post on the Celtics blog feed for another few weeks as we migrate over to CLNS Media. We haven't quite worked out how the 5-on-5 pickup game between us and the Garden Report guys is going to work, considering we're living on like 4 different continents. But we'll hope to get that done at a summer league in the future. But as always, Jackson, love your work. Great to catch up. I mean, you commit to a pods more often because we get big wins.
I guess so, man. And I hasn't had a chance to show it off yet, but this is a new shirt that I got.
Oh yeah. Oh, Bill Russell.
Yeah, you've got Wilt Chamberlain over the side, but he's blocking some guy who's number 12 for the Sixers in I don't know, sometime in the 60s there. And it's fitting. It's a dominating fitting shirt over the Sixers, and it's a dominant.
Very fitting. There are many examples of the Celtics dominating the Philadelphia 76ers. We love to see it. Thank you so much, everybody in the chat today. Super fun to be hanging with you guys after a big win like this. We absolutely love it. Until next time, go Celtics. Peace.
Nice one. Woo. Great job for no